Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world today. Thank you for joining us and welcome to the first in a series of Fibre to Fashion webinars on hot topics in the textile value chain. Today, we look at how sourcing professionals can leverage data for forecasting trends, market expansion, and navigating global trade. We'll be seeking to answer questions such as, what are the current trends in fibre yarn and fabric pricing? How can buyers use data to identify the best sourcing destinations? And how do insights from trade agreements and tariffs help? Also, by joining us today, you'll be able to avail yourself of exclusive access to a free trial for all of you to our TexPro sourcing intelligence product. So let me start by introducing our two speakers today. First, joining me is Milind Jadeja, who is the General Manager for Market Intelligence at Fibre to Fashion. Indeed, he's been in that role now for 10 years and is responsible for the launch of the TexPro product that we'll hear about later. Also joining us today is Mr. Gurgan Gupta, who is a seasoned leader with over 30 years of experience in textile and apparel sourcing. He is the founder and director of Fibre Fabrics Innovation and Tech, and where he drives innovation and strategic growth in the industry. It's also worth noting that throughout his career, Mr. Gupta has held key leadership roles at globally renowned organizations, including Gap, Lululemon, Athletica, Mass Fabrics, and Must Garments. His expertise spans sourcing, supply chain optimization, and fabric innovation, making him a trusted name in the textile sector. So, Milind, if I can turn to you first, and before we explore the future of textile and garment sourcing, could you provide an overview of how sourcing practices have evolved over time?
Sure, Mark. Firstly, thank you for the introduction. Now, sourcing has been very dynamic for textiles and apparel sector. Depending on how fashion trends changed, how geopolitical scenarios changed, sourcing in textiles and apparel evolved accordingly. So if we look at the first phase, which was pre-1980s, it was all local production, local domestic sourcing. Primary reasons were higher import tariff rates. A lot of free trade agreements were not signed up till that time. So due to which there was a lot of competition between developed nations to save the industry there. So bulk of sourcing was all local and regional. Then came the time of 1980s to 2000 when sourcing slowly shifted to offshoring markets, predominantly Asian markets. Some of the reasons which was due to the rising competition, so cost efficiency was required, so it compelled them to move towards more cost-friendly countries, most cost-effective countries. And then we have just-in-time production, which is started getting adopted by many of the brands to save cost on inventories and reduce wastages. Again, it compelled them to source from different markets. But up till this time, still there was multi-fiber arrangement, which was still there, which was the biggest hurdle when it came to global sourcing, because there was a lot of quota restrictions which restricted them from sourcing from developing countries. Then came 2000 to 2020 onwards, which was fast fashion boom, which forced most of the brands to do bulk of sourcing from offshore countries due to the rapid need of production cycles, which were rapid, frequent inventory turnovers. You had a lot of pressure on short lead times, cost pressure was always there, and competition started increasing at that time. And also the biggest booster was that in 2004, the multi-fiber arrangement got expired. So it led to a huge boost in globalization. And there were a lot of free trade agreements which were signed in that time periods. There was economic growth, e-commerce boosted in that time, and also a lot of digital adoption was there. And then we saw the COVID and geopolitical disruptions which took place after COVID. So it again emphasized brands to relook their supply chain, rethink, reduce their risk from sourcing from a particular country, over dependency on particular country. So we went full circle back From offshoring now, they slowly started moving towards onshoring and nearshoring, a combination of both. And we saw a lot of emphasis on sustainability. So more sustainable practices started getting adopted, more sustainable raw materials started getting adopted.
That's a very useful insight as to how we've got to where we are today. Can you briefly also give us some insight into Fibre to Fashion's sourcing intelligence tool, which is called TexPro, of course?
Sure.
And what are its main benefits?
Absolutely. So before we discuss on the benefit part of it, I would like to give you a broader coverage of what TexPro covers, so I can explain the benefits. So basically, TexPro covers information on raw material prices, trade data, country profile, country level parameters, indicators, tariffs, information regarding brands and retailers, trade agreements, and other qualitative news updates and trends across the globe. So this is all the different sets of data that we believe are normally required in the process of sourcing and procurement planning. So it kind of gives you all information covered at one place. Now talking about various features which differentiates TexPro from other tools out there. So first of all, there are various filter options in TexPro which allows you to screen the data better. So whatever data you require, you can screen it very efficiently, very quickly. Then you have better data analysis options. So we provide both the raw data and inbuilt data analysis options, which helps you draw trends out of it so that those trends are ready to consume. So you save a lot of man hour and time there. Better data visualizations options are there. So whatever trend that you draw out of analysis could be better visualized through different charts. We have embedded high interactive charts in TexPro now. And we do a lot of forecasting also. So kind of we are pioneer when it comes to textile raw material forecasting and other parameters, cost parameter forecasting. So which is the need of our, because you need predictive analysis to be a step ahead of volatility which is there in the market. And now we are building up on AI features. So now we are developing AI enabled features in TexPro. Quite a few features are live right now, and going forward you will see many more features coming up. And since we cater to host of clients, we have multilingual capabilities also in TexPro, so that they can have access to TexPro in their vernacular medium. Now, if we talk about the sourcing as a process and how TexPro helps them, so there are three fundamental questions which normally any sourcing team would require. So you need to understand what price points to source at, which countries to source from, and what suppliers to work with. So these are the basic three questions which any sourcing team would have to plan on every season they are planning or every collection they are planning to source. So for that, the use cases that TexPro provides is cost due diligence. So using raw material prices, other cost indicators, you can do a very efficient cost due diligence and negotiate better with the vendors and suppliers in different geographies. To plan your sourcing, to understand which countries to source from, you would require various country level indicators, macroeconomic indicators to evaluate whether those are the right countries, what is the risk of sourcing from those countries. You also require to track how the supply chains are shifting, so which are the new emerging markets. So for that you would require trade insights and so on and so forth. And then now there is a lot of emphasis on sustainability, so you require a lot of data and intelligence when it comes to sustainability. You also need to track your competitors, so you require information regarding your competitors, which are the suppliers they are working with, what sort of how they are doing in terms of their finances, margins, and so on and so forth, and latest updates, trends across different geographies. Now all of this combined together will draw a lot of benefits to organizations. So if I have to highlight the benefits, firstly, it saves a lot of time because all the required information is aggregated. So a lot of time is saved in terms of collecting that data, managing that data, updating that data on regular basis. So you have real-time data there with better visualizations and analysis. So it saves a lot of man hours. Since man hours are saved, you save a lot of cost also because less number of resources are required for managing and generating reports. Also, it will make your decision making faster because you have access to ready insights, real-time data. So your turnaround time when it comes to sourcing, which is now becoming very dynamic and fast, you need to be very quick in decision making. So you have all the required data very quickly. It also saves a lot of cost because man hours, as I said, is saved. Also, you do not have to subscribe to multiple data sources, which saves again on the costing part. And if I talk about the overall supply chain optimizations, since you have better information, better intelligence, you save a lot of cost when it comes to the sourcing part of it. So thereby you can increase the profitability also, and you can also mitigate the risk. So since you have the intelligence, future insights also, you are well positioned to take better decisions and avoid risk which is there in supply chain and sourcing.
Now, of course, TextPro is an online product, which of course can be accessed via a web browser, but it also can be integrated into a company's workflow, and I believe you have one or two customers who use that.
Certainly, certainly. So when it comes to integration of TextPro, as you rightly said, Mark, it's a web-based platform. So its usage is also very convenient. You do not require it to be installed in any particular system.
Yeah.
So because most of the sourcing team guys are always traveling, so the system has to be on fly. So they can use it just like LinkedIn, Facebook, any other web-based platform with their credentials. They can download whatever information they require. Now, some of these companies have centralized decision-making teams who generate MIS reports and circulate the reports on a regular basis. So for them, they can access the information via the download options that we provide. These are all the download options that we provide are all pivot friendly and are ready to be integrated in any ERP or Power BI or Tableau systems that they might be using. And we also provide API access. So if you want to have a completely automated connection between our TextPro and their own ERP systems, you can have that via an API. So that option is also there.
Excellent. So let's talk about how TextPro has played a role, if I may use that term, in transforming sourcing strategy over the recent years.
Sure. So if we look at the need of information, which was there during different stages of evaluation of sourcing that we discussed before. So during the first phase of pre-1980s, it was all local manufacturing, regional sourcing which was happening. So much information was not required. Everything they needed was coming from within the same country or within the same region. So they were kind of having an up-to-date update on whatever is there in the markets. Bulk of raw material was still being sourced from other markets, but it was kind of coming from only specific countries. But when shifting started to offshore markets specifically during the fast fashion boom and during the onset of 2000s, I would say, the need for information went up because they now needed to track a lot of commodity prices because they were dealing with different suppliers in different countries. They were planning to source from different markets, so they needed information for different countries, their indicators, cost indicators, the risk in sourcing from those countries. To identify the trends, they needed to understand trade data on regular basis. And as I mentioned, that after the expiry of multi-fiber arrangement, a lot of free trade agreements started happening. So they needed to have an insight what benefits those agreements are providing, what sort of tariff implications it would have. And all of this led to a lot of need for information in this phase, specifically from 2000 to 2020, wherein tools like TextPro and other market intelligence tools became very handy for them. And once competition started picking up among the brands, they also started requiring information like about their peer companies, like what they are buying, what volumes, what price points, which suppliers they are working with. And then came COVID. Again, COVID infused a lot of volatility, Mark. So if I have to say, volatility is our best friend when it comes to market intelligence, because if everything is stagnant, nobody requires data and information. They know what is happening and how things are likely to be. But when volatility comes into picture, everybody is in gasp of information, like what is to happen next, right? So after COVID, we again saw the phase because a lot of restructuring in the supply chain started happening. People started moving to near-shoring and on-shoring. So again, they wanted information on countries to source from, how the trends are shifting. More emphasis was being given on predictive analysis. They wanted to have a foresight, like what will happen going forward. The freight rates went up due to the geopolitical and logistic disruptions.
Yep.
So need regarding freights went up. A lot of sustainable adoption was there. So they started requiring information on prices of sustainable raw materials, which started being adopted in fashion trends. They required information regarding sustainable practices which are happening in different geographies. Who all are the sustainable suppliers? All this kind of information they started. So these are all the information which tools like TextPro started providing them.
Okay.
And at different stages of, and that's how they help them take a better call on decision when it comes to sourcing.
So uncertainty is TextPro's friend. I'll take that away with me, definitely. I'm interested to also understand your view, your insight on the future of textile and garment sourcing. Where are we going?
Sure. So based on our observations, our interaction with our clients, what we foresee is that there are three major trends that I foresee. One is agile sourcing when it comes to garment and textile sourcing. The second is sustainable and ethical sourcing, picking up going forward. and the third one is more tech-driven sourcing. I'll elaborate on each of this, and I'll help you with the reasons why I feel that these are the upcoming trends going forward. So over a period of time, we have seen that fast fashion trends is picking up. Now we see that companies like Shine and H&M and Zara have changed the dynamics altogether.
Yeah.
So previously, if you look at the fashion trends, it was all 2 seasons, bulk orders. Now we see there came a time where there were 4 seasons, and now it is the time wherein for every seasons you have different heat. So in summer collections, you will have heat 1, heat 2. Every 15-20 days, the shelves are changing.
Yeah.
So that requires a lot of faster turnaround when it comes to sourcing also. The brands need to be very flexible. Also, we see a lot of direct-to-consumer models coming up. These brands are adopting a lot of direct-to-consumer models, which again puts a lot of pressure on faster on-demand production, faster turnaround time when it comes to manufacturing, shorter lead times. And we see that MOQs are getting smaller and inventory turnovers are faster. So more frequent orders, smaller MOQs. So all of this will combine together, will force brands or companies to be more agile, more flexible when it comes to sourcing. They need to quickly change. They cannot be held bound on certain suppliers in certain countries. They'll have to quickly, based on the needs, they will have to make their sourcing very dynamic. So that's what we are foreseeing. When it comes to sustainable and ethical sourcing, we have seen that after the unfortunate Rana Plaza incidents, a lot of emphasis was done on the sustainable practices. Textile being one of the polluting sector, governments are becoming stricter day by day. They have stricter regulations, specifically in Western markets. They are becoming very strict with the regulations, standards for textiles and apparel, which are being imported in that particular country, which is again forcing the brands to becoming more sustainable in terms of sourcing. Also, the customers are becoming very aware. They are becoming very conscious of the fact, like whatever they are consuming, how much impact it is creating on the environment, social and other aspects. So again, that is forcing brands to adopt to more sustainable practices. And last but not the least, I would also say that the investor community is also now taking a call based on how the company is sustainable or not. So before taking any investment decisions, they are now no more only looking at the profitability part of it, but they also take into consideration how sustainable and what sort of sustainable practices the company is adopting. And lastly, I would also like to say that corporates are by themselves becoming more responsible by themselves. So by themselves, they are also adopting a lot of sustainable practices to make supply chain and textile sector in general more, I would say, environment friendly and social friendly. And the third is the tech part of it. So we see sourcing in garment and textile becoming more tech driven. A lot of new upcoming technologies like AI, blockchain, 3D printing, IoT will completely transform how the sourcing has been doing. So in the late 2020, when digitalization started in textile and apparel sourcing, we saw a lot of PLM softwares being adopted and a lot of optimization happening on that. But now we'll see with this new technologies, factories getting automated, a lot of investment happening in automated warehouses, smart factories with Industry 4.0 coming in to reduce the cost, to change the dynamics of nearshoring, to match the cost with offshoring. All of that is coming up. And again, there is a lot of pressure of cost efficiency and shorter lead time. So one way of putting an emphasis and achieving that is through tech. So we will see a lot of tech adoption there. And last but not the least, I would also like to mention that since the consumer has become very conscious, brands wants to have the visibility of their supply chain. They need to have the visibility up till farm level. So now, and the only way to do it, it is through tech. So they need to now have their entire supply chain on platforms and tech to see that what impact they are creating right from garment manufacturing to the farm level. So I see that is something going up in coming time.
So you identified, I think, really two major trends there: sustainability and agile manufacturing. And I'd just like to dig a little bit deeper and understand how those trends are related to your TexPro product and how it is contributing to supporting buyers in that trend.
Sure. So to understand how TexPro is going to help in this forcing trend regarding sustainable sourcing, we need to understand how the information need would change with this new trend that we are foreseeing. So with sustainability coming into picture, now companies would require to take a call on what sustainable materials to work with, which sustainable countries to source from, what sustainable practices are there in different countries. They will have to identify sustainable suppliers to work with, and also they need to keep up to date with sustainable practices out there in the different geographies. So if I take each of these areas, when we talk about sustainable materials, they need to track what are the new sustainable raw materials which are coming up. A lot of material innovation which is happening. They need to track the prices of those sustainable raw materials vis-a-vis the conventional one. So for an example, how organic cotton is priced as compared to the conventional cotton, how recycled polyester is priced as compared to the conventional polyester fiber or yarn. All that has to be now tracked. What are the prices of new upcoming fibers and yarns like banana, hemp, or let's say coconut fiber, or let's say pineapple fiber, which is coming up, right? So all this information is something they would require on regular basis. When it comes to sustainable countries, on a very macro level, initially when they were evaluating which countries to source from, they were only taking into consideration the cost part of it, like which countries are more cost friendly, if I may put it that way, and which countries are at lower risk of sourcing. So these are only the two criteria which they were taking into consideration, but now they also need to understand whether the country is sustainable or not to source from. So for that, they would require information like the energy mix of the country, what are the emission numbers when it comes to CO2 emissions or GHG emissions, whether the country is ESG compliant, whether they have regulations for ESG, how compliant they are, what sort of auditing mechanism they have for that, how much of wastewater they are generating, what sort of recycle treatments they have in place, recycle plants and so on and so forth, what sort of labor regulations they have, and how efficiently they are being followed, and compliance of labor regulations in that country. So all this information will come up going forward. And then comes the part of suppliers, right? So I have decided on the country, I have decided on the price, materials to work with, but again I need to work with a sustainable supplier who is audited, who has got the right certifications in place. So I need a lot of information on who all are the certified suppliers, whether they are currently holding the certifications, whether they are thoroughly audited or not. Then I would require information regarding what sort of innovative or initiative they have taken by themselves in terms of sustainable practices. What are their numbers when it comes to emissions, wastewater generation, how they are treating the wastewater and recycle processes. So all this becomes very critical for a brand to track on regular basis. And lastly, they also need to track what other brands, their peer companies are doing when it comes to sustainability. So what sustainable practices they are following, what sort of new materials they are adopting, what new sustainable practices are being followed in different geographies. So that's how the information need will change what we have as of now to going forward, and that is where tools like TexPro will become more handy to take a call on which countries, which suppliers to work with at what price points when it comes to sustainability.
That's very interesting hearing about how TexPro helps sourcing professionals to understand the materials, understand sustainability in the countries, understand the manufacturers, even the competitors. I'd like to turn it now to the other theme, the other trend that you identified, which is agile manufacturing. How is TexPro able to support people with that?
Sure, Mark. So when it comes to agile sourcing, which we foresee picking up going forward, we also need to understand why agile sourcing is going to come up. So there is a lot of fast fashion which is there, right? So we see a lot of quick inventory turnovers, small orders, small MOQs, frequent orders, which is putting a lot of pressure on brands to source frequently. And with frequent sourcing, there comes a lot of decision making involved, because again, on every sourcing cycle, you need to decide what price point, which countries, which suppliers to work with, because your MOQs are small now. So you cannot rely on a particular supplier. You will have to diversify your suppliers. So considering all of this, what I foresee is that a lot of sourcing diversification will happen. You cannot be over dependent on certain countries. You need to have a huge network of countries, because your MOQs is going down, your lead time is going down. So you need to have a combination of sourcing also, which is split sourcing. So you cannot now predominantly be doing offshoring. You will need to have come up with a mixed strategy kind of thing, wherein you are having a combination of offshoring, onshoring based on the cost sensitivity of the product. And you will have to mitigate the risk very faster, because you do not have the luxury of time to sit around and decide now what to do if things go wrong. So for example, if I have decided on a country let's say this is the country I'm going to source from, and if things turns out in a wrong manner or things goes south, so in that case I cannot then go back and sit and plan which other countries to source from. I need to have that handy, or I need to also plan and identify my risk well in advance. So for that I need to have a lot of intelligence regarding different countries, what is happening there, what sort of risk they are building up. So considering all of this, you would require real-time data, you would require faster data, data which is more faster to consume, more trend-driven, insight-driven data that you can readily consume. So we'll see going forward a need for a lot of forecasting going up, be it raw material price or cost indicators. We'll see a lot of emphasis on geopolitical insights, which would require other cost indicators like tariff rates, because now we see a lot of tariff fluctuations happening in the world due to the current geopolitical scenarios. We see tariffs are changing every other month, so they would require a lot of insights on that. They would require a lot of information on supplier also, because as of now they were sourcing from very clustered supplier groups, but now with MOQ going down, they will have to be in a lookout for new sustainable suppliers who are ready to work on small MOQs and frequent orders, which is kind of on-demand production. Yeah. Okay. So all this information again would be required, and tools like TexPro would again come handy when it comes to this real-time data, more faster data, more better visualized and analyzed data.
Of that I have no doubt that TexPro can help, but I think I'd be very interested to know how TexPro is adopting artificial intelligence, because you're describing a tool that is hugely significant in terms of the amount of data that's in there. So what steps are you already taking, and what do you envision for AI on TexPro in the future?
Sure, Mark. But before I take up that, I would like to throw some light also on how AI is impacting the sourcing in general. So if we look at the manufacturing process now, so it is from design to delivery. If we look, there is a lot of AI adoption that we see as of now happening on designing and sampling part of it. So there are many AI-based tools which currently are assisting companies based on the various social media platform trends and trends which are there on different websites, and they analyze all this data through AI, and which gives them very real-time trends which are very fast evolving. So a lot of designing and sampling that is happening as of now is through AI-based tools. Now I see a lot of adoption of those kind of tools and a platform which provides AI-based intelligence when it comes to fashion trends. But the sourcing, which is a supporting arm to the fashion designing part of it, we see much. We are now seeing adoption of AI-based platforms, because due to agile sourcing, they are pressed for time, shorter lead times, faster orders. So they require data very fast, and data that they can readily consume. That they do not have the time to analyze, go through the data. They want data which could be readily consumed. So if you look at the entire journey or progression of market intelligence tool in general, so initially all those tools were providing, and this is correlated with the evolution that we discussed of the sourcing. So initially they required only raw data. So I'm just providing them, let's say for an example, prices of cotton fiber on regular basis or polyester fiber on regular basis. That was good enough for them. Then came the second phase of it, where they want better analyzed data. So they want how the prices have changed, what is the growth in last 6 months compared to the last 5 years change, how the prices have, what is the range in which the prices have moved, how much they are trading from their premium or average prices. So all that becomes more analyzed data that they required. Then came the visualization part of it, because with those data analysis they did not have time. So now they want those analysis to be depicted through charts that they can readily consume. So charts are more interactive, you have more visibility on the trends, you can see it. And now is the time that they don't even have the time to refer to the charts or reports. They want ready data and trend insights. That is something that is capable through AI. So that is the reason we as an organization has taken a call that now we will develop AI-based feature. Kind of, we are currently I'm very happy to say that among very few companies, we are one of the companies which is developing AI-based features for market intelligence tools. So giving you some thoughts on what sort of developments we are doing. So we are basically coming up with 3 different type of features when it comes to AI. One is the data summarization part of it. So there's, let's say, bulk of data. You do not have the time to go through that data. The AI will pull out the key trends from that bulk of data and will give you those trends. Second is that is known as data summarization through AI. Second is the content summarization part of it. So there is a huge free trade agreement document, for an example, that you have, and you do not have the time to go through that lengthy documents because that will run through thousands of pages. So in that case, AI will generate a summary which is completely in line to your business or your objective. So you will save a lot of time rather than going through a detailed document. You have a very crisp and concise document to go through. And the third part of it is the NLQ part of it, which is the natural language query. So you can just there will be AI chatbot which will allow you to just type in your questions. You can just go and in your own natural language you can type in your query that I'm looking for this price trend, and it will pull out that particular data from the entire scope of TextPro and will help you with that information. And we are also working as of now on various predictive modeling through AI, so which gives you foresights and insights of what is going to happen going forward.
You already have forecasts in the tool. Okay, so you're anticipating that the use of AI modeling will take the accuracy of those up another level.
So it is going to be kind of an enhancement. So as of now, we are doing forecasting more on statistical model, which kind of uses certain set parameters, but with AI, it takes into consideration more number of variables and parameters when it comes to forecasting. So as you rightly said, the accuracy will go up when we come up with something concrete on AI-based predictive modeling.
Turning now to you, Mr. Gurgan Gupta. Gurgan, what is your perspective on sourcing intelligence tools like TextPro and their impact on the decision-making process in textiles and apparel?
So thank you, Mark, for the kind introduction and the question. This is actually quite an interesting area because, as the industry is evolving, we are seeing that market intelligence is having tremendous amount of impact on the decision making for different brands and in general for the textile industry. So if we take the case of market intelligence tools like TextPro and other tools which are available out there, there is tremendous amount of dependence on, first of all, the historical data and then the predictions for the future. Now, what I have seen is that within the industry, the tools do offer, an understanding of what the historical data is, but there are very few tools who are offering what the predictions for the future are. So I feel that TextPro that way is well advanced as compared to the competition that TextPro has, because other tools are not offering such a comprehensive view of the historical and the future data. The impact that these tools have, in fact, is giving a view to the decision makers of how the commodities are actually tracking and what the future predictions are going to be. And based on that, people can take decisions, especially when you're platforming fabrics or booking fabrics for a long term, to understand what is the best time where you can drive the best value out of the market intelligence. So this actually positions the brands and the textile industry very well in order to make the right decisions and get the best value out of the timing, where they can drive the best negotiations and the value that they can get out of it. So I think all in all, these market intelligence tools are actually helping the brands and the textile industry in making the right decision at the right time.
Thank you for that. Could you also tell me, or perhaps share, your experience of using TextPro yourself? Are there any specific use cases or benefits that you've observed?
So thanks, Mark. This is actually a very interesting question for me because I have been, working quite closely with TextPro over the last, I would say, 8.5 years. While the team at TextPro has done a tremendous job in preparing the tool and also evolving the tool as time goes by, but I feel that the interaction that the team has and the proactiveness that the team at TextPro shows is amazing because when I joined my last last company, it was very, very interesting that we needed to sort of tweak the tool in order to make it more palatable for the organization that I was working in. And the interaction, the proactiveness that we had, along with my team and the team from TextPro, it really helped us fine tune and tweak the tool to the level that we wanted it to be. So, I feel that when we compare TextPro to the other competitors that we have out there in the industry, TextPro gives us a very comprehensive view of the commodity prices. And it's not just the commodity prices. We get insights on the economic indicators and the trends and various other aspects that we have in the tool. Specifically, when I look at TextPro, I feel that there are yarn prices. And when we get into synthetic yarns, there are yarn prices which are given to us by denier counts as well as by filament counts. So that actually helps, various decision makers to understand as to what the trends of these yarn prices are and how these would impact the fabric prices and so on for the garments and garment prices. On top of that, what we have seen is that they also provide a view, a regional view, so that you can get the price trends and forecasts for each region that you're operating out of. So that in fact creates tremendous amount of clarity when you are negotiating prices either with, let's say, the yarn suppliers or with the fabric mills or with the garment vendors. So I personally feel that the comprehensive view of the historical plus the forecasts that are provided by TextPro are immensely valuable. And I was using this tool very extensively in my last job and still continue to use it in my current work because it gives not only the intelligence on commodity prices, but multiple other aspects which drive tremendous amount of value in decision making.
We've already heard from Milind today about the current volatility in global supply chains, particularly with the fluctuating raw material prices. So how does TextPro's forecasting capability specifically help in mitigating the risk of price spikes and ensuring consistent supply for a large-scale textile manufacturer?
So we all know that there is tremendous amount of volatility in the market. There are multiple things happening at the same time, and there is never a dull day in the sourcing industry. And the presence of or the availability of information, especially the market intelligence, is extremely, extremely important in order to make the right decisions. Now, when I talk about TextPro as a tool and a platform, TextPro provides, again, the historical as well as the forecasts for the commodity prices. It also gives various aspects, like the insights into economic indicators and trends. The forecasts are regularly updated. It is easy to use, and now they are also introducing an AI generated summary. So at a quick glance, you're able to get information, at your fingertips and understand how the market is moving and what the trends are going to be. This kind of information is extremely important in order to make the right decisions, especially when we're talking of mass market product, when we're talking of high volume product, and when we want to make the bookings for a long term in order to prevent the company from being impacted with these fluctuations. So in order to understand what is the right time, what would be the right opportunity to set up long-term contracts, tools like TextPro are extremely important. And senior executives depend on the information that is delivered through these tools to make the decisions at the right time.
Very interesting. So if I might turn to the growing adoption of technologies like AI, how do you see the relevance of tools like TextPro in the future of textile and apparel sourcing?
I think AI is going to be part of our lives, whether we want it or we don't want it. And I say this knowing that AI is already part of our lives. So I do feel that AI, the implementation of AI in tools like TextPro is not only necessary, but is going to happen very fast. And I feel that TextPro is taking the, is taking the lead in the implementation of AI. I feel that with the fast-paced, trends or current scenario, it is very, very difficult for someone to sit down, analyze, reanalyze data that is available. So if we have summaries which are generated by AI, looking at the data, the historical and the future forecast, and give out a one-page summary, that is just fantastic. And that helps people to understand the trends and also to make the right decisions at the right time. So the AI, not just in terms of generating the report, but also understanding the data, the huge data set that is available on the platform of TextPro is extremely important, because slicing and dicing and breaking down information, reading through the data, which used to take so many hours for an individual to do, is now available at a click of a button. So I do feel that it is imperative to have AI within these platforms, and the sooner we get it, the better it would be.
Well, Gergen, thank you so much for those valuable insights, and I look forward to catching up with you again very soon.
So thank you, Mark, for having me on this panel. It was really interesting to have this conversation. And I do feel that the topic here is extremely relevant, because market intelligence is going to be a key factor in the decision making and will decide the success and the failure of organizations going forward. So thank you once again, and I appreciate the time.
So as you can see, I now have some questions. This is an interactive session, and some of our attendees have already put questions into the chat. If you haven't done so already, please do so now. So turning to you, Milind, again, brands are bombarded with data. How does TextPro filter out the noise and provide actionable insights that directly impact sourcing decisions?
So like I said, Mark, there is too many data sources to refer from, too many data sources out there, that you bulk of data that they get from their own sources as well as other sources out there. So data management itself is a task for them. They would require a lot of resources, manpower and time to manage that data, to draw efficient reports out of those data. Now TextPro is a tool which gives better data analysis, better data visualizations, which, as I mentioned earlier, which save a lot of time. So that's our USP. You save a lot of time in analyzing the data, in arranging the data, because it's a very good aggregator of all the required information at one place. So that's how you can reduce the noise, you can efficiently use the data, and you can have a faster turnaround when it comes to decision making. Now with I'm sorry, with AI coming in, this is going to transcend to a next level, because even AI is just going to give you a very crisp, concise insights that you are looking forward to through their NLQs and data summary and content summary, summarization features that we just discussed.
Another question that's come in for you, Milind. Keeping tabs on competitors' sourcing strategies is essential. How does TextPro help brands benchmark their performance against competitors and identify areas of improvement?
Certainly. Now sourcing has become very competitive with new emerging brands coming up. We see a lot of fashion brands coming up. There is a lot of competition per se in the sector when it comes to sourcing. Everybody wants to optimize in terms of saving cost, improving their margins. So it becomes very imperative, like you mentioned, to track what their competitors are doing. So they would require information on what volumes they are buying, which countries they are buying from, what price points, which suppliers they are working with, how their financials are, how their margins are, how the sector is performing, right? So for all of this information is something that we provide through TextPro, right? So with this information, they'll be able to see how the competition is going, how the sector is going. By studying the top players in that sector, they'll get an idea about how this overall sector is performing.
Milind, another one from our audience. Predicting future market trends is crucial for staying ahead. How does TextPro help brands identify emerging trends in raw material prices, consumer demand, or technological advancements?
Sure, Mark. So as we discussed, that volatility is something which is our best friend. So when volatility is there in the market, everybody starts thinking about the future, like what is to happen in next 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months down the line. Now, if you look at sourcing cycle, it is normally 6 months in advance. We see planning of sourcing beginning 6 months in advance. All the orders that they are placing are all future forward orders. So they have to plan for what is happening, going to happen 6 months or 9 months down the line.
Yeah.
Be it raw material prices, be it what sort of country level indicators would be, cost indicators would be, which countries would be the right countries to source after 9 months, not right now, but after 9 months they will be, or 6 months they will be the right countries to source from. So in TexPro we provide forecasting for different raw material prices, which is the most fundamental cost.
Yeah.
Right. So that gives them an foresight of next 9 to 12 months of how the prices are likely to go forward based on our statistical forecasting. Our accuracy claims for them are somewhere around 80 to 85%. Based on the back testing that we do for last 3 to 4 years. We actually run our models on historical number and check for the accuracy. Similarly, we do forecast for other cost parameters also, like wages, electricity rates, currency exchange rates, which is very imperative. Now currency being very volatile, it becomes very important for them to see how currency is going to go in next 9 months, 12 months. And for technology, for consumer demands, we do cover a lot of qualitative information. So we gather a lot of news articles pertaining to what new fashion trends are coming up, what new technologies are coming up. So they get a kind of a repository or a good a kind of bank of all the qualitative, or I would say good content, which are something which will keep them up to date with the current trends and what is going forward, what are the upcoming trends.
So we have time for just one more question. Can you share examples of how TexPro has helped brands achieve tangible results?
So the common theme that we see basically TexPro is a tool which assists brands in optimizing their supply chain and sourcing decisions. So there are two major advantages that I generally hear from our clients that they perceive from TexPro. One is on the costing part of it. They save a lot of cost when it comes to sourcing. So let's say for a company who does $1 billion of worth of sourcing a year, if they even save 2% of their cost, it makes a huge difference in their margins and profitability, right?
Yeah.
In terms of risk, they are better positioned to understand what are the upcoming risks in sourcing from different countries. And in case if things goes wrong, or I would say if things are not as they expected in a particular country, they already have information and data to take a call on which other countries to go forward to, right? So they are kind of more agile in when it comes to responding to risk and more kind of proactive.
Well, I'm afraid we've run out of time for today's webinar. So any of you with unanswered questions in the chat, we will come back to you directly as soon as we can with our answers. I'd like to extend my thanks to Gergen and to Milland and to you, our attendees, for giving up your valuable time to join us today. And I'll just leave you with a couple of things. We will be emailing you in the next 24 hours, and in that email you will have the option to be able to request a demonstration of TexPro, which we can tailor to your specific data needs, and also to request a free trial. So please look out for that and get back in touch with us. Finally, it's been my pleasure today to host this Fibre to Fashion webinar. Thank you for your time.